Good morning, friends. In the last couple videos, two videos ago, I made the point that I think if we're going to revive the positive futurism for which Bucky Fuller was well known, that will take looking at synergetics and taking it somewhat seriously, at least seriously enough to do the math. And then during the next video, the last one I just did, about 25 minutes long, I went through some of that math, which I'm scrolling through here too, backwards. We call the concentric hierarchy like the Sesame Street of synergetics, meaning it's the thing that you get to know your way around pretty well. It's sort of, if you're in art school, it's obvious that you would want to have some, or say architecture, some easy grasp on what we could call 3D geometry. Now, Fuller calls his 4D, for reasons I've gone over, has to do with the tetrahedron, but we have room for his namespace. It's not a big threat to us that different language games for different uses, right? So the synergetics concentric hierarchy is something to get to know as an architect, as a designer, as somebody who's going to work in space, because it gives you all these relationships and ways of keeping them sort of close at hand, part of your toolbox. Now, these days, we talk a lot about, hey, can we have student loan forgiveness and so forth? And my question is, if you were denied your American heritage, if you've gone to a college or high school and none of this positive futurism ever came your way, you were never exposed to any of it, then in what sense were you given a real education? So rhetorically, I would kind of take a different position than forgiveness. The people asking forgiveness are the people who never saw it as their responsibility to share any of this information. So if you've been to college or high school and none of this information is familiar to you, you should be thinking malpractice of some kind. And why would you want to pay for that, right? Because our future did hang on it, you could say. And the alternative future that we have is well summarized in DVDs like this one, which I just reviewed again last night. This one's called Iraq for Sale. But, it's all about cost plus contracting, nothing capitalist or competitive. It's paying off your Congress people to give you multi-billion-dollar contracts so that you can buy all kinds of hardware and luxury vehicles. And if a truck breaks down, replace the truck. Don't replace the tire. Don't fix the motor. Just get another truck and they'll reimburse you. Destroy the truck so the Iraqis can't have it or whatever. There's a lot of, mega waste, we could call it. And then people complain about how the world is so poor and we can't really afford this and that. But the mega waste has been oblivious to our better interests. It's like we're under attack, and now we want the attackers to forgive us. Just a different perspective, I guess. If you really acknowledge that you're ignorant of America's best literature and no one's bothered to share it with you, and now they want you to repay the student loans for their not sharing any of this with you. What's twisted about that, you might ask? And so today in these elections and so on, we're hearing about how the candidates might push for some kind of student loan forgiveness. A lot of people don't see how they have a life going forward, saddled with huge debts for which their income is not prepared them to pay. And is the education system that we have really doing its job? I would get the focus on there, because to lift the focus off the politicians and move the emphasis on global grids and world game and all the things that we need to do to responsible parties, that shines the spotlight more on, I would say, the universities. So let's take a look at that. Let's look at the university curriculum and think more clearly about whether it's configured in such a way that it will help us escape this vortex that we're in, right? And if you watch my channel, you get where I'm coming from. I've given a few hundred hours, I guess, to spelling it out, but then I'm just a AA battery. It's not something that I am even offering that I can do on my own. Obviously not. I've had a lot of good collaboration, good insights coming in from others, artifacts, C60. I've got this crazy, got my American flag in my C60 with my vector equilibrium here, my jitterbug, just to keep things handy here on the floor. But if you consider yourself at all pro-American in some way, then you need to get behind American literature here, which is what I'm scrolling through. If you don't know anything about it, maybe learn something before you consider yourself pro-American. Maybe you're not really. Maybe you're more involved in this kind of operation. Nothing to do with America. All right. Food for thought. Talk to you later.